Information Security Governance. An effective information security governance program requires constant review. Agencies should monitor the status of their programs to ensure that ongoing information security activities are providing appropriate support to the agency's mission. Policies and procedures are current and aligned with evolving technologies if appropriate. Controls are accomplishing their intended purposes. Over time, policies and procedures may become inadequate because of changes in the agency's mission and operational requirements, threats, or the environment. Deterioration in the degree of compliance or changes in technology, infrastructure, or business processes. System Development Life Cycle. As you learned in Chapter 1, the System Development Life Cycle, or SDLC, is the overall process of developing, implementing, and retiring information systems through multi-step approach initiations, analysis, design, implementation, and maintenance to disposal. Each phase of the SDLC includes a minimum set of information security activities required to effectively incorporate security system. During this phase, the organization should continuously monitor system performance to ensure that it is consistent with established user and security requirements and that needed system modifications are incorporated. Awareness and training. As you learned in Chapter 4, once the program has been implemented, process must be put in place to monitor compliance and effectiveness. An automated tracking system should be designed to capture key information about program activity, such as courses, dates, audience, cost, and sources. The tracking system should capture this data at an agency level so it can be used to provide enterprise-wide analysis and reporting about awareness, training, and education initiatives. Tracking compliance involves assessing the status of the program as indicated by the database information and mapping it to standards established by the agency. Reports can be generated and used to identify gaps or problems. Corrective action and necessary follow-up can be taken. This follow-up may take the form of formal reminders to management, additional awareness, training or education offerings, and the establishment of corrective plan with scheduled completion dates as the organization's environments changes the security policies and must evolve, and all awareness and training materials should reflect these changes. Capital planning and investment control. Increased competition for limited resources requires that departments allocate available funding towards their highest priority information security investment to afford the organization the appropriate degree of its needs. This goal can be achieved through a formal enterprise capital planning and investment control, or CPIC process designed to facilitate the expenditure of agency funds. NIST SP 800-65 or Rev 1 draft recommendations for integrating IT security into the capital planning and investment control process provides a 7-step process in prioritizing security activities and corrective actions for funding purposes. So these are the 7 process for prioritizing security activities and corrective actions for funding purposes. Interconnecting system. A system interconnection is defined as the direct connection of two or more information systems for sharing data and other information resources. Organizations choose to interconnect their information systems for a variety of reasons based on their needs. For example, they may interconnect information systems to change data or exchange data, collaborative on joint projects, or securely store data and backup files. These are the 4 phases of life cycle management approach for interconnecting information system that emphasizes information security.
Good morning. I am Sela, and I will be talking about the configuration and change management. First of all, what is configuration and change management? It is the purpose of configuration and change management is to manage the effects of changes or the differences in configurations in an information system or network. In some organizations, configuration management is the identification, inventory, and documentation of the current information systems, hardware, software, and networking configurations. Change management is sometimes described as a separate function that only addresses modifications to this base configuration. Here, the two concepts are combined to address the current and proposed states of the information systems and the management of any needed modifications. These are the steps to do configuration. Step 1. Identify change. The first step of the CM process begins when a person or process associated with the information system identifies the need for a change. The change can be initiated by numerous people, such as users or system owners, or it may be identified by audit findings or other reviews. A change may consist of updating the fields or records of a database or upgrading the operating system with the latest security patches. Step 2. Evaluate change request. After initiating a change request, the organization must evaluate possible effects that the change may have on the system or other interrelated systems. An impact analysis of the change should be conducted using the following guidelines. First, whether the change is viable and improves the performance or security of the system. Next, whether the change is technically correct, necessary, and feasible within the system constraints. Third, whether system security will be affected by the change. Fourth, whether associated costs for implementing the change were considered. Lastly, whether security components are affected by the change. Step 3. Implementation decision. Once the change has been evaluated and tested, one of the following actions should be taken. Approve implementation is authorized and may occur at any time after the appropriate authorization signature was being documented. Second, deny. The request is immediately denied regardless of circumstances and the information approved. Fourth, defer. The immediate decision is postponed until further notice. In this situation, additional testing or analysis may be needed before a final decision can be made. Step 4. Implement approved change request. Once the decision has been made to implement the change, it should be moved from the test environment into production. It required the personnel who update the production environment are not the same people who develop the change. This requirement provides greater assurance that unapproved changes are not implemented into production. Step 5. Continuous monitoring. The CCM or continuous monitoring process calls for continuous system monitoring to ensure that it is operating as intended and that implemented changes do not adversely affect the system's performance or security posture. Agencies can achieve goals or continue system monitoring by performing configuration verification tests to ensure that the selected configuration for a given system has not been alerted outside the established CCM process. The security maintenance model. While management models such as the ISO 27000 series and NIST SP 800-100 Information Security Handbook, a guide for managers, deal with methods to manage and operate systems. A maintenance model is designed to focus the organization's effort on maintaining systems. Figure 12 to 4 illustrates an approach recommended for dealing with change caused by information security maintenance. The figure diagrams a full change caused by information security maintenance. The figure diagrams a full maintenance program and serve as framework for this discussion that follows. First, the recommended maintenance model is based on five subject areas or domains. Second, external monitoring, internal monitoring, planning and risk assessment, vulnerability assessment and remediation, and lastly, readiness and review. Monitoring the monitoring the external environment. This is the diagram of external monitoring environment. Data sources. Acquiring data about threats, threat agents, vulnerabilities, and attacks is not difficult. There are many sources of raw intelligence and relatively few costs associated with gathering it. The challenge is turning this flood of good and timely data into information that decision makers can use. For this reason, many organizations outsource this component of the maintenance model. Service providers can provide a tailored supply of process intelligence to organizations that can afford their subscription fees. These are the data sources. Next, security risk assessments. A key component in the engine that drives change in the information security program is a relatively straightforward process called a risk assessment. Network connectivity RA, used to respond to network change requests and network architectural design proposals. It may be part of the business partners RA or be used to support it. Business partner RA used to help evaluate a proposal for connectivity with businesses and business partners. Note that business partner risk extend beyond the direct contractual relationship to include the partner's vendors, landlords, and other clients. For instance, a cloud vendor may outsource some or all data center operation to a third party, which in turn may lease physical space in part of a building, not by a professional data center security team. Application RA, used at various stages in the life cycle of a business application. Its content depends on the project's position in the life cycle when the RA is prepared. Usually, multiple RA documents are prepared at different stages. The definitive version is prepared as the application is readied for conversion to production. Vulnerability RA used to help communicate the background details and propose remediation as vulnerabilities emerge or change over time. Privacy RA used to document application or a system that contain protected personal information that must be evaluated for compliance with organizations' privacy policies and relevant laws. Acquisition or divestiture RA used when planning for recognition as units of the organization are acquired, divested, or moved. Other RA used when statement about risk is needed for any project proposal or fault that is not contained in the preceding list. The RA process identifies risk and proposes controls. Most RA documents are structured to include the components shown to Table 12 and 9. Most training programs on information security include training session for the preparation of RA document.
Good morning, sir. So today I am going to discuss the vulnerability assessment and remediation. So what is vulnerability assessment and remediation? Vulnerability assessment and remediation is to identify specific document vulnerabilities and remediate them in a timely fashion. So we have 9 of examples of vulnerability assessment. First is penetration testing. Second is internet vulnerability assessment, internet vulnerability assessment, platform security validation, wireless vulnerability assessment, documenting vulnerability, recommending vulnerability, acceptance or transference of risk, and threat removal. Internet Vulnerability Assessment. The Internet Vulnerability Assessment is designed to find and document vulnerabilities that may be present in the organization public network. Penetration testing is a level of sophistication beyond vulnerability testing. A penetration test or pen test is usually performed periodically as part of a full security audit. Platform Security Validation. The Platform Security Validation or PSV is designed to find and document vulnerabilities that may be present because misconfigured. Systems are used in the organization. Wireless Vulnerability Assessment. The Wireless Vulnerability Assessment is designed to find and document vulnerabilities that may be present in the organization wireless local area network. Remediating vulnerability. The final process in the vulnerability assess and remediation domain in the remediation phase. Acceptance or transference of risk. In some instances, risk must either simply be acknowledged as part of an organization business process or organization should buy insurance to transfer the risk to another organization. And the last is threat removal. In some circumstances, threats can be removed without requiring a repair of vulnerability.
Hello everyone. I'm one of the speakers for today's webinar. So before I will discuss my topic, I'm Amigale L. Blanco, 21 years old. The topic that I will discuss today was the continuation of the topic of Clazel Lucina. So, vulnerability repair is the best solution in most cases is to repair the vulnerabilities. Readiness and review. The primary goal of readiness and review domain is to keep the information security program functioning as designed and improve it continuously over time. This goal can be accomplished by doing the following. First, policy review. Policy review needs to be received and refreshed from time to time to ensure its soundness. In other words, it must provide a current foundation for the information security program. Second, program review. Major planning components should be reviewed on a periodic basis to ensure that the current accurate, and appropriate. Third, rehearsal. When possible, major plan elements should be rehearsed. Readiness and review. The primary goal of readiness and review domain is to keep the information security program functioning as designed and improve it continuously over time. This goal can be accomplished by doing the following. First, policy review. Policy needs to be received and refreshed from time to time to ensure its soundness. In other words, it must provide a current foundation for the information security program. Second, program review. Major planning component should be reviewed on a periodic basis to ensure that they are current, accurate, and appropriate. Sorry. Lastly, rehearsals. When possible, major plan should be rehearsed. The next topic was a digital forensic. Digital forensic involved the preservation, identification, extraction, documentation, and interpretation of digital media. A digital forensic can be used for two key purposes. First, to investigate allegations of digital malfeasance. Second, to perform root cause analysis. So, the organization must choose one of two approaches when applying digital forensic. First, to protect and forget. Focuses on the defense of data and the system of data. Second, apprehend and prosecute. Focuses on the identification and apprehension of responsible parties. Affidavits and search warrants. Affidavit sworn testimony is the certain facts are the position of investigating officer and that they warrant the examination of the specific located at a specific place. Search warrant. Search warrant permission is to search for evidentiary material at a specific location. In digital forensic, all investigations follow the same basic methodology. So these are the basic methodology. Identifying relevant items, acquiring the evidence, online versus offline data acquisition, other potential EM handling, authenticating the recovered evidence, analyzing the data, and lastly, reporting the finding. Evidentiary procedure. Organizations should develop specific procedures along with guidance for their effective use. The policy document should specify the following: who may conduct an investigation, who may authorize an investigation, what affidavit and related documents are required, what search warrant and related documents are required, what digital media may be seized or taken offline, what methodology should be followed, what methods are required for chain of custody or chain of evidence, and lastly, what format the final report should take and to whom it should be given. And that's all of my topic. Hope you learned something. Bye!